So go ahead and sit in a way that you feel like. One of you wrote in the chat, super stressful week. I know that's not only one person's experience. So for everything that's been swirling in the larger community, the larger culture, the civilization, and then whatever is swirling in your own life, come to a seat where you sense you can be really present with the part of you that's large enough to have those waves rising. And thank you, Dennis. Yeah. So I sometimes like to say that yoga teachers, and certainly yoga therapists, and anybody in a role of helping others, there's a lighthouse quality that we want to embody. And the lighthouse is stable and has this vista, the ocean. So the lighthouse in us is what can be steady. So when the turbulence or waves in our ocean are rising and fading, we have a sense of where the beacon, the light is. And it tells us where the shore is, so that even if we're required to be on the ocean with some turbulence, we can have a sense of where that stability would be coming from. So in that way, let yourself sit in the place in you that has that stability in spite of the larger turbulence in our world. And to be in the place in you that is expansive enough to welcome, even if right now that part seems elusive to you, if you can connect. You might relax the skin of your face, the place between your eyebrows. Soften your shoulder blades, down your back. Relax your fingers and your thumbs. And let yourself arrive in the present moment while it is also greeting you. As you sense the lighthouse that you are, that you're capable of, try to imagine dozens of lighthouses. The lighthouses with whom you're practicing right now. And what fuels this lighthouse is not like our cleverness. It's not our IQ. It's not some coercion. What fuels this lighthouse is love, grace, our teachers and our teachers' teachers. The embodied inspirations on the planet over so many generations, from whom we receive inspiration. They're all tapping into a great source. And we sit here this morning as recipients of their courage and their inspiration, and their willingness to let that source come through them into words and teachings so that we get to be here tapping in. With appreciation for the inspiration that's come to your life, and also whatever is nudging you to be in class today, so even appreciating the turbulence or the stress, please bring your hands together at your heart. We'll start this morning with the Gayatri Mantra. A reminder that inside the mantra, the translation includes, may we remember the wisdom, the beauty, the majesty of the cosmos, including each of us. Like your little eyelashes, the toenail, right? This freckle, including the expression of this beauty and this wisdom that is actually you. May we remember this. Let's begin. Om Bhurva Suvah Tat Savitor Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimoi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayata Om Bhurva Suvah Tat Savitor Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimoi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayata Om Bhurva Suvah Tat Savitor Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimoi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayata Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Shri Guru Pyo Namaha Hari Om. And with your exhale, you may bow your head to your heart. And release your hands, open your eyes, and if possible, you could sit cross-legged, called Sukhasana, where you actually cross your shins, and sit up on a couple of blankets if you need to, please. Okay, and I'm going to come back, so I want to hit my computer. So when you sit in Sukhasana, the crossing of the shins, for some people it's a little bit painful, where the shins actually touch, or what it does to the shape of your foot. So you could fold a portion of your mat to go between your shins, or you could put some padding like a blanket under either of your ankles. And then come forward to a little forward bend. Place your hands on the floor. Relax the weight of your head. And say hello to what you discover in your hips, outer hips, inner thighs, maybe the small of your back. And as you breathe in to what you discover, notice the attitude of the breath, an attitude which you can kind of infuse, as if you were putting a certain essential oil into the diffuser. You get to choose what you're going to infuse in the breath. What attitude? Now walk your hands back towards your knees, rise up to sitting, and change the cross of your shins, please. So likely this is the more awkward one because we'd usually choose the one we're more comfortable with first. Okay? And then walk forward again, please. Relax the weight of your head. And imagine this position is not just a forward bend from Sukhasana, this is also a kind of pranam. And pranam means that we bow and we make a humble offering from the heart. Pranam is also a way of saying thank you. So you can imagine the inner gratitude you have for your yoga practice. Even though there's turbulence in the world, you've made it to your mat this morning. So gratitude for the part of you that made this choice Take another deep breath in. And then walk your hands back towards your knees. And let's try one more here. Place the soles of your feet together, the knees out to the side in Vata. And this might be a whole different feeling where you need support under the outsides of both feet, or maybe your feet are very comfortable. And then once more, please walk forward. And you're kind of getting the news of the day from your hips, your inner thighs, your pelvis. So let yourself breathe in to greet the sensations. And as you bow forward, however far forward you're able to come, think of the gesture as one of humility, offering, appreciation, gratitude. And then please walk your hands back towards your knees and rise up to kneeling. Sitting, excuse me. Yeah, so those are your hips saying good morning to you as well. Let's now come up to standing. I'd like you to have 2 blocks. We're going to do a standing sequence to open the hips and the pelvis. Let me change my camera, and I'll be with you in just a moment there. There we go. Okay, so the wide stance, as you know, about the length of one leg. And you've got your 2 blocks close by. Please place your blocks under your hands, like this. And in this wide stance, we're going to practice a variation on a twist that we were doing yesterday. So first I'd like you just to start with the cascading down in your parsvakonasana. Relax the weight of your head and your torso, but energize from your feet into the earth, up through the inner thighs to your pelvis. And let's think of the legs as being that stable lighthouse, right? They're not changing right now, they're unwavering. And as you inhale, just let the spine come forward like you're about to do cow pose, even if you're on your elbows or your hands. And then exhale and allow your spine to remember cat pose. So legs stable, inhale, glide your spine forward like cow pose. It's not that we're bringing the pose forward, it's just the action of the spine. And exhale to bow a little bit like cat pose. Include bringing your chin in towards your throat. Inhale, glide forward. And exhale, bowing like cat pose. Allow your head to come in towards your heart, chin towards your throat. And do this one more time, please. And exhale long and slow. Now keeping the legs steady, place your hands up on these 2 blocks, and I'm going to recommend you put the blocks on the medium setting. And then take the back of your left hand to the outside of your right block and glide it down. And as you're gliding down, each of you is going to have your own distance that you can travel. Please keep the right arm straight and strong, okay, and both legs stable for right now. Relax the weight of your head. Now inside the breath and the spine, I'd like you to keep both arms stable and your right arm very stable. But inside the breath and the spine, let's consider it again like a little bit of cat pose during the exhale. And a little bit of cow pose during your inhale. And let there be just a slight undulation that you can sense. Maybe somebody would actually see it, but more importantly that you can sense it. Keeping the right arm strong here is something you have to actually remember, because the instinct to bend your elbow may be high, but I'm going to ask you to keep it steady because I want the right shoulder to be higher than your left shoulder. And I'm really interested in what your back body's experiencing here. So one more inhale, hinting at cow pose in the spine. And one more exhale, hinting at cat pose. And then press down into your right arm to place your left hand back on its block. And bring the back of your right hand down to the outside of your left block, keeping your left arm strong. A little twist to your left, let your head relax. And then again, the inhale, a little bit of a hint of cow pose. And the exhale, a hint of cat pose. And try to sense this undulating through. At the pace of your breath. Like these are gentle waves in the ocean. These are not dynamic movements. So the ocean-like quality is very simple. You would be so relaxed to be on a little float on the ocean at this tempo. And keeping both legs stable and strong like that lighthouse quality. Let's do 2 more times. And inhale, a little bit like cow pose, the heart, a little bit of the back bend. Exhale, a little hint of cat pose, the back waist, a little bit like a parachute. And then press into your left hand firmly and bring your right hand over to touch its block. Shift your hands to your hips and please rise up to standing. Now turn the left heel slightly out and turn your right foot completely out like warrior 2. Bend your right knee, bring your forearm down, and if possible, take the forearm itself and place it high up against the crease of your thigh and press down against it. So you're using the leverage of your forearm to press onto your right thigh. If you like, you could take the left hand on the right and actually press down and let them be strong, we call it forceful, against each other. And then a little bit of a cat pose spine during your exhale. Gaze towards your left toes. A little bit of a cow pose spine in your upper back and throat during the inhale. And a little bit of an exhale cat pose combination, so gaze towards the toes of your left foot. The tailbone might get stronger there. And a little bit of cow pose. And then exhale, root down, rise up, so you've got some information from your right leg there. Turn your right toes in, turn your left toes out. Set the right heel just slightly back, and then take your left forearm to place it in against your left upper thigh. Put your right hand on your left. Press firmly so the 2 palms resist each other. And then exhale, a little bit like cat pose. So the tailbone goes down towards your right heel during cat pose. Tone your right butt and you're gazing at the right toes. And a little hint of cow pose during the inhale. You can make that movement mostly in your heart, upper back, throat, and head so that your pelvis remains stable. So try to sense again, the legs are this source of stability, like a lighthouse would be. And the undulation of your breath and your body is like the gentle form of the ocean, on which you would enjoy being on a float. It would feel like love or grace. And complete your exhale. And then inhale, rise up. Notice any changes from your left leg. You got the news of the day from both legs and both feet. Let's go heel toe, heel toe, heel toe to center. We're going to step into Surya Namaskar. Let me just change my camera slightly because I think I don't quite have it set. I don't want my head to be cut off when you're watching the yoga. Okay. We are going to have side angle pose be a part of our Surya Namaskar this morning. Side angle in Sanskrit is parsvakonasana. Parsva means side, And kodo means angle. So join your hands together, please. And once again, let's make the feet and the legs and the pelvis and the center. This is like the lighthouse, this lower half of the body. You are very stable for yourself. And then sense the breath gets to undulate through the torso. So in response to turbulence or chaos, sometimes there's an instinct to want much greater control, quote unquote control, which is not recommended from the lens of yoga. Trying to control would be a significant effort against forces that are larger than us. What is recommended in yoga is a little more leadership and a continuous cultivation of some stable tranquility so we can be a part of what's happening in life. So using your Ujjayi breath, now inhale your hands down, turn your palms out, rise up, and then exhale, chair pose, Utkatasana. Inhale, rise up, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, Uttanasana, so legs stable like lighthouses. Allow the torso to bow forward, gaze past your heels towards the back edge of your mat. Inhale, glide forward like a bigger cow pose wave. Come up to your fingertips. Exhale, bow deeply towards your legs like a cat pose wave. You can gaze back past your heels. Inhale, rise up. Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, sit down, chair pose. And we're going to stay for 3 or 4 breath cycles and try to sense the teachers who came before our teachers and the teachers who came before those teachers. The teachers we have today on the planet, the way they've moved through turbulence to luminosity and wisdom, and that they are present with us right now as we practice. Let your body soak that in. And when you next inhale, rise up so the lighthouse that is you can shine through. And then exhale, Uttanasana. Remind yourself that being a lighthouse is not about being more clever or being smarter. It's being more porous so the wisdom comes through us. Take your left toes back like the basic lunge. Inhale, rise, crescent lunge. Keeping your legs stable, exhale, bow, airplane pose, like a gesture of humility. Inhale, rise up, crescent lunge. Exhale, airplane pose. So humility, surrender, but keep the strength of the legs. Inhale, rise up. Invite your body to be even more porous to the wisdom of yoga. And once more, exhale, airplane pose. Touch the 2 blocks and please inhale, step forward, bring your heart forward. And exhale, bow towards the legs, gaze past your heels towards the back of your mat and beyond. Inhale, glide forward. Exhale, right toes back. Inhale to rise, crescent lunge. And exhale, arms wide, bowing, humility, surrender, but not resignation. Inhale, rise up. May each of us be a little bit more porous. Exhale, bow forward. And once more, rise up. So it's my hunch that the world needs the light to shine through more people, not fewer people. And somehow you're here, so you've been nominated. You can touch the 2 blocks. Inhale, step backwards, downward dog pose. And then pressing into all 10 toes, inhale, roll forward to plank pose, gaze down between your thumbs. Now bring the legs together so they're like one unit. Keeping your gaze, your arms, your hands and shoulders stable, rotate from your pelvis so you go to your outer right heel. And then roll that to center and rotate to go to your left outer heel. Keep the legs together like a mermaid. Roll to center. Let's go right as you exhale. Center. And left. And center. And then downward facing dog pose. And notice from the inside, after exertion, like the belly going back and forth, now what? Notice from the inside. Our ability to handle that smoothly and not to create turbulence inside, that's partly our yoga practice in real time. You had some exertion, maybe now you have more ease in the belly. Okay, now with your next exhale, step your right foot forward between your hands with the left foot back. Let me back up on my mat. Okay, so when the right foot is forward, I'm going to ask you now to turn the right toes, heel, and then turn it out to the side. So your right leg's going to be on this diagonal here, and the left leg is going to stay where it is. Okay, so being on that diagonal, I'm going to ask you to slowly lower your hips down as if you're coming into Anjaneyasana, except the right leg is out to the side. And try to keep the right knee pointing in that direction. You can imagine that your lighthouse sees a boat in need of help, and it's shining in that direction. Okay, and then inhale, straighten your left leg, make it strong and long. Good. Exhale, lower your left knee. Keep the right knee open. It's a little bit like a variation on Anjaneyasana. Again, inhale to straighten. And exhale to gently lower. And do it one more time. Inhale to straighten. Now place your left palm very firmly on its block and turn your left outer heel towards the floor. So you've just twisted, and I know that not all outer heels are going to make it to the floor. Keep the left arm very stable, so you're not dropping your hips down. Make the body like plank pose, like a plank. Raise your right arm. And imagine even here the lighthouse quality from your left hand to your right hand. And the light would shine from the heart. The boats on the ocean would know where home is. They would know where is the shore. And then exhale, bring your right hand back down. Pivot your left heel up so it's more normal back there, like your basic lunge. And place the two blocks and see if you can manage the step backwards to downward dog pose from here. And then step your left foot forward, and we'll go heel toe out. So your left knee is going to point to the left. You can make the two blocks for your hands, please. And keeping your left knee stable, exhale, lower your right knee down. Yeah. Inhale to straighten. Strengthen and lengthen your right leg. And then exhale to touch it down. Maybe you're getting even more news about your hips and pelvis right now. So inhale to lengthen and to strengthen. Keep the left heel, left toes, left knee steady. Touch the right knee down again, just really gently. And then inhale to lengthen and to strengthen. Now keep your right arm stable and rotate to your right outer heel. Raise your left arm up. And I know that not all outer heels on the right foot are going to reach the ground, so don't sacrifice the core integrity of your pose just to get your outer heel to the floor. Sometimes it's the shape of your foot bones, sometimes it's the flexibility of your ankle. It can be the flexibility of your twist, which is determining how far your right leg can turn. Keep reaching through your inner right heel, even if the outer heel does not reach the floor. And then exhale, lower your left hand down, and see again if you can step backwards from here to your downward dog pose. Place your feet so they're hip distance apart. Gaze back between your heels. And then exhale, awkward foot forward, second foot forward, Uttanasana. And inhale, rise up, Urdhva Hastasana. And exhale, hands to your heart. And just pause to notice how things are feeling. What's happening now? In this Surya Namaskar, we're going to add parsvakonasana. Okay, so Ujjayi breathing, inhale, hands down, palms out, rise up. Chair pose, remembering the wisdom elders from whom we are so fortunate to have their teachings, their inspiration, their bravery to stay on the path, and their willingness to share the wisdom from their life experiences. Let's press down and rise up with your inhale, please. Look up with your heart and your eyes. And exhale, Uttanasana, make the legs steady. Inhale, glide forward through your heart, a little bit like cow pose. Okay, take your left toes straight back. Place the block under your right hand flat, and then make one tall on top of it. Okay, pivot your left heel to the floor behind you. Press firmly down from your right knee to your right shin to your heel, from your right shoulder to your right arm, and turn to your left. Okay, let's start this pose with your left hand on your left hip. And put your concentration into your pelvis, into your hips and your pelvis. Okay, so let's trace this line inside. So right big toe, the mound of the big toe. Press into your right inner heel, right pinky, right outer heel. You can imagine how stable the foundation of a lighthouse needs to be. Press through your right shin. Stabilize your right outer thigh. Sneak your right sitting bone under your pose. You can also say scoop the tailbone towards the pubic bone. And then lengthen your right inner thigh. Press into your right arm. And start lifting your breath into your left lower back and left kidney. And press firmly from your left hip into your left heel, inner heel, outer heel, left pinky, mound of the big toe, left big toe. Okay. With those things established, now inhale, sweep your left arm past your left ear and imagine it's like the light beam that is supported by the stability of the lighthouse, the building called the lighthouse. And imagine the quality of light that could shine through you, supported by the tradition, the teachers, the wisdom elders, both living and not right now still living, both contemporary and timeless. And then when you next exhale, lower just your left arm and your gaze. Keep the legs really steady. Pivot your left heel up and reach your left fingertips for the floor, which is quite a bit lower than your right hand is right now. And then lift the heel of your left foot, Press into your right hand and twist your upper body to your right. So do your best to make the left arm, fingertips strong, shoulders strong. Right arm, the heel of the hand strong, the palm and fingers strong. Right elbow steady. And keeping the left toes strong behind you, now float your right arm up. And then exhale to release the pose. Give your left hand a block, right hand gets a block. And please step forward with your left foot to meet your right foot. And notice the difference from your left leg and heel to your right leg and right heel. Rise up, Urdhva Hastasana. Notice how your mountain pose will feel different left to right. Spend a few moments noticing the difference because it's real, it's happening. And right there, as you notice the difference, you're giving kind of homage to the beauty and wisdom of the cosmos. And that is also infusing each of us, like your freckles, your skin cells, the nerve endings. Now second side of the sequence. So energize your feet and your legs, and with your Ujjayi inhale, rise up. And exhale, bend your knees, chair pose. A few breath cycles here to remember again the teachings, the elders, our contemporary wisdom holders, ancient wisdom holders. Root down into your feet, please. Inhale, rise up, Urdhva Hastasana. And then exhale and bow forward, Uttanasana. Inhale, glide forward through your heart. Now take the right toes straight back, and the block under your left hand, make that flat, and then put the tall block under as well. You press into your left hand for stability. Turn your right heel to the floor behind you. Yeah. And then place your right hand on your right hip. And just make the basic shape of the pose, because we're going to trace that line again to really refine the strength that each of us needs for stability. So press into your left big toe, mound of the big toe. Left inner heel, outer heel. Find your left pinky toe. With the left shin strong, tone your outer left thigh, outer left hip. Bring your left sitting bone under towards your pubic bone. You can also think of the tailbone doing that. Lengthen your left inner thigh. And then lift into your right kidney. So you have this little bit of buoyancy there on the right side waist. From there, root from your right hip, right thigh, right shin into your right foot. Include the big toe, pinky toe, inner and outer heel. And then shine this light beam that is your right arm. And imagine how this light could be steady, maybe a bit more steady, what's required in your life for this foundation to support this light. Probably that question also means, what do you have to let go of? What do you have to do a little bit more of? How do you have to recalibrate right now? Where are the places where we're feeling depleted? How do we get nourished? Now when you next exhale, I'm going to ask you to start lowering your head and your right arm. And then you can pivot your right heel up. Bring your right fingertips to the floor. And right arm straight and strong. Left arm straight and strong, so you're automatically going to have a twist to your left because of the structure that we have set up here for the pose. And keeping the right arm steady, now inhale, raise your left arm. And while breathing in, breathing out, when you next exhale, then release down, give a little block to your right hand, a block for your left hand, and step backwards to downward facing dog pose. And in your downward dog pose, make it symmetrical as usual. Let your head bow to your heart a little bit and try to sense, okay, what's moving through? Just even in like these little skin cells, blood cells, nerve endings, your eyelash, the tiny hair on the back of your toe, the top of the toe near the nail. Even the smallest little building blocks of who you are. And then inhale forward to plank pose. Gaze down between your thumbs. And then lightly, lightly touch your knees down. Make the knees wide enough for your child's pose to be really comfortable for the hips and the lower belly. And put one block under your head. Palms face up, please. So this is also called pranam. And please walk your hands back towards your knees and take a seat on these two blocks. In fact, I'm going to say on one side of the body, let's say left side, we're going to kneel like Vajrasana. And the right side, you're going to stand like you're doing parsvakonasana. Yeah. So this leg, when you come down, try to put your left knee straight out from your left thigh and your left hip socket. And the right hip is going to be heavy on the block. And take your right arm on the inside of your right leg and give a little pressure to help open your right thigh and keep it stable. Turn the left hand palm face up and inhale, twist to your left. So you can imagine that like a light beam. How far would it go? In your case, how far does the twist happen without compromising your lower back? So you're really turning the whole spine, but then the turn becomes more upper back, thoracic spine, heart, and then your cervical spine. And then taking the left arm, lower your right hand down like you're doing a side angle pose with your right arm down towards your right ankle, and sweep your left arm past your left ear. Now at this time, both hips can be seated on the block and can be steady. The left hip might feel like it's going to get a little bit lighter, but can you keep it rooted? And then gaze up past your left arm. And breathe in. And then exhale and open your twist again. So bring your right arm up to the place where you are rotating to your left, left, left. And then bring that back around to face forward. And bring your right knee in to Vajrasana. And the left leg out. Yeah. Great. So then the left arm on the inner left thigh. So both sitting bones are grounded right now. Open your right hand face up. And inhale. Notice your twist in this direction may not be the same as in the other direction. And they could be different for a variety of reasons. So don't hunt down the difference right now. Just appreciate that your body is not symmetrical and you still get to be here. And breathing in, breathing out. slide your left arm down and sweep your right arm past your right ear. And with your right hip grounded on the block, left hip grounded, and you press the left knee open. Breathe into what your body is providing as information. Breathe in. Notice again the attitude that you breathe. It's like the oil that you put into the essential oil diffuser. And then with an exhale, rise up, glide your left arm up so you're back where you can twist to your right, gaze over your right shoulder. And then let that come around to center, and let's come to Vajrasana. I know you're sitting on 2 blocks, and for some of you that's probably than you like, but just for a few moments, we're going to rest the sitting bones right on the edge of the 2 blocks, please. Okay, now let's take both feet. I said this a couple weeks ago, like you're sitting at the campfire. So you have both feet, knees pointing out. Yeah. Put the elbows in between the knees. And you can use this method of palms together to press the knees apart, but you can also make it fingertips together, so you're pressing the knees a little bit farther apart. It's based on your inner thigh flexibility and the length of your upper arms, forearms and elbows and such. Let yourself come a little forward. Whatever amount the pelvis can actually do. No fighting, no arguing with yourself, please. As you press out with the elbows against the knees, you may now choose, if you like, to place your hands on your ankles so that your forearms can press out against your shins. And breathe in and out through your nose. And then roll up to sitting. We're going to go heel toe until the legs are parallel and you've got them about hip distance apart. Okay, and here you are. Rest your elbows over your knees for a moment and relax. So if you were to imagine the torso, the trunk of your body, your heart, your mind, your vision, your speech, your compassion, as part of this lighthouse, what is shining now, having been here so far this morning? So we're going to stick with the hips and pelvis here. So now I'm going to ask you to take the 2 blocks out from under and put the blocks like a little railing, I don't know what to call that, like a little bench. And from your toes, touch your knees down to the 2 blocks. So you're kneeling on the blocks, but you got your toes tucked under behind you. Yep. And see if, does it seem like it's a reasonable possibility that you're going to be able to balance here? That you could, it's called toe balance, that you could be without the blocks supporting you. So you have your blocks, the knees can touch. Can the knees also lift and you can keep your balance? And the thing about keeping your balance there is that it's not because you're arching your lower back and compromising. It's going to be because we're in the center of the pelvis here. Okay, so take the arms forward, palms face up. As you lengthen your thighs and knees forward, draw into your lower belly and see if you can roll your knees to lift them off of the blocks. So you're balancing on all 10 toes. Notice it's a less stable foundation because in parsvakonasana you had 2 feet and 2 blocks and 1 hand. Now you have 10 tiny toes. Keeping the low belly drawn in, are you able to raise your arms up overhead? What do you need for stability? If you're to open your right palm and gaze to your right. Lower the left hand down in front. And with your toe balance, then raise both arms up, gaze forward. And if you open your left hand, left arm, and gaze to your left, lower your right palm down. How do you keep your balance? And then inhale, float it back up, gaze forward. And then exhale, lower your palms to be face up in front of you. Keep the belly toned and touch your knees back to your blocks. Okay, reach down to the 2 blocks, take your right block, left block, and press into Uttanasana with the 2 feet together, touching at the inner edges. And in this Uttanasana then, bend your knees if you need to, but cross the elbows to hold with the opposite hand. And then close your eyes and see if you can keep your balance. It's highly likely that you're going to sway a little bit. So the question isn't, can you be completely still? The question is, can you keep your balance? And then shift your hands to your hips, keeping the inner edges of your feet touching. Rise up to stand and see if, with the feet touching, relax your arms. Can you close your eyes and keep your balance? And again, the question isn't, can you be perfectly still? The question is, can you keep your balance? You might sway a little bit. Notice how your feet support you when swaying happens. Observe any correlation from your feet into your pelvis or your belly when your body sways. Okay, and then we're going to take these 2 blocks and come down to lie on your back. And I'd like you to have the blocks within reach because we're going to use them. We have done this before, so I'm smiling in your direction because some of you have told me, oh my God, how did that get to be so painful back there? I didn't even know I had tension or tenderness there. So lie down with your blocks close by. And let's put the 2 blocks first on the medium height in this little diamond shape like this. So medium tall diamond shape or triangle shape under your pelvis. So pick up your hips, place the 2 blocks, and then you're in a kind of supported bridge pose for a few moments. So the block should touch the sides of the sacrum, right between the sacrum and the ilium bone. There are these insertions or muscle insertions, and if you pick up your right knee, I don't want you to be on a particularly bony part. Try it with the left. But you might have a tenderness somewhere in the musculoskeletal system that isn't just like a bony part. All right, so now pick up your right knee only and take the right ankle across your left knee and fan your right knee open to the right and then up towards the ceiling. And do that slowly. Like the light beam on the lighthouse has a rhythm. And this is happening slowly and thoughtfully. There's a rhythm to the lighthouse. And the boats come to trust that rhythm. When the ocean underneath them is turbulent, they need to know. In the rise and swell of large waves, they will see the light and they will sense its rhythm. The next time you press your right knee open to the right, go ahead and pause there and lengthen your right inner thigh like we did in parsvakonasana. Can you lengthen out through the right inner thigh? Yeah. You breathe into your right low belly, right hip, the length of your right thigh to your knee. And then float your right knee up towards the ceiling. Place your right foot flat on the floor. Cross your left ankle over your right knee and press your left knee open. And then it's the same idea. We're going to be fanning from the open position, left knee, and then left knee up towards the ceiling. And this might give you a chance to discover things about your left hip joint that you wouldn't have known otherwise. Or maybe the back of your hip where your sacrum meets your ilium. As your left knee rises up, you're fanning up towards the ceiling. As the left knee presses out, gently opening. And doing that a few times more, please. With what you can notice here, notice the attitude of the noticing. How are you bringing the breath or your thoughts to your sensations? Then press the left knee open. We're going to stay a little while. And then bring your left foot back down to the floor next to your right foot. Okay, so that's blocks on the medium setting. Now tiptoe, lift your hips, put the blocks down on the flat setting. And when you come down, it's my hope that just that little change of where the blocks were, so that when they laid down, now if you pick up your knees, you're not going to be near to the sacrum. You're going to be between the ilium and the trochanter, in that tender spot, yes. Yeah, so if you give a little bit of movement to the knees right now towards the chest, away from the chest, yes, that's extremely firm. For some of you, the sensations are quite tender where the block is. So what I recommend then is that you fold your yoga mat to go over the edge of those blocks. So what you could do is turn on the length of your mat and fold each corner of the mat like a little envelope to go right under the hip there. Or you can pad it with a layer or two of blanket. So I would say let it be comfortable, but not like you're noticing nothing. Right? I do want you to have a little massage right here. So once you've got your situation set up as you would like it to be, I'm going to ask you to move the knees about Maybe you go clockwise, counterclockwise, or maybe like one knee at a time, or knees like an egg beater. Maybe knees towards your chest and away from. But think of it as a purposeful exploration guided by what you are discovering in your own body. So if these are parts of your lighthouse system and you're realizing, oh, there's tenderness here or there, you have what we call in yoga ama, A-M-A. You have the residue. And that residue, it kind of impedes health because it acts as something that slows down prana or blocks prana or chi from flowing smoothly. A little bit like Ayurveda would say the same, the word ama for when people have, their arteries are a little clogged. What's in the arteries is called ama. Okay, so you're circling. And then let yourself come back to center where the knees can just be hovering above your hips. And let's do, it's called 90-90. Knees at 90 degrees from the torso and shins at 90 degrees from the thighs. And breathe smoothly down into your pelvis and your lower belly. Now slowly touch your tiptoes down to the floor. Lower your heels. Now pick up your hips thoughtfully and slide the blocks out just a couple inches, not very far. And then place yourself so that what happens next is you rest your trochanters, actually touch the two blocks. The place you just were is free and the sacrum is not touching the blocks and may not be touching the floor. And you're right there on the trochanter bones. So now open the right knee out and in, check and see where you are. And then open the left knee out and in, check and see where you are. And then put the soles of the feet together. So this is a funny variation of Vata. Please come with me, explore. So what can happen is if you're on the trochanter itself right now and you put the soles of the feet together, the sacrum is not quite touching the floor. And neither is the lower back, but can kind of soften in that direction. And because the blocks are at the trochanter, you might be realizing something about the inner thighs that you wouldn't notice otherwise. Because it's kind of putting pressure where the greater trochanter is pressing towards the lesser trochanter, which is inside the inner groin. So you might be noticing something different, unusual, maybe informative. So if you can, relax your sacrum and the place where your sacrum meets your lumbar spine. And then slowly bring your knees up to center. Hopefully the blocks aren't sliding because they're on the sticky mat. So knees up to center and then pick up your hips. Take the two blocks a little farther out so that now when you put your feet into Vata, you're going to feel the block at the outer edge of the trochanter. And there are muscle insertions right there. So this still isn't your favorite place to put the blocks, but it's kind of an informative place to put them. Now the sacrum and the lumbar spine may touch the floor. And the blocks are at this very sort of, we could say firm, it's a bony spot, not just a muscular spot, but a bony spot. Now, keeping the sacrum getting heavier towards the floor, noticing the sensations where the blocks are. Slide your right leg halfway towards straight. Slide the left leg halfway towards straight. Now notice the inner thighs again. I'm smiling at you. Yeah. Let the sacrum stay heavy towards the floor. Slide the right leg halfway again, so you're 3/4 of the way towards straight. And then take each leg all the way towards straight. And notice you can go to straight even though you've got these little blocks kind of in the way, right there. But notice what can happen here. Are you able to have the sacrum and the lumbar spine relax towards the floor? But also notice, probably your knees and toes are pointing straight up, so you're kind of in this sort of anatomical neutral. It's not completely the case, but you can think of it that way. Some of you might sense that your inner thighs are rolling down towards the floor. The toes may be slightly tipping in. And then loosen the two blocks out from under your hips and come down to Shavasana. Don't move, please. You don't realize how much, I mean, some of you will know because you're here. Some of you are chiropractors, massage therapists, myofacial body workers, so a lot just happened. So don't move. Go right to your Shavasana. Let the legs relax. Let them bring you home to the lighthouse in you that you can be. And close your eyes. Come into your internal refuge. You have refuge in the tradition, in the community, in the teachings. There's also an internal refuge. So come into that, please. And connect to the part of you that is a lighthouse, that is informed, stable, connected to the wisdom traditions, and is able to provide an internal light to the parts of you that have been experiencing turbulence or doubt, anxiety or fear. Invite yourself to lie really still. So no movements in the legs or the hips, heels and toes. Invite the mind also not to be moving about. that your physical body, your mental body, even the senses can be very still. Within you, the inner intelligence, the housekeeping chores are happening. A cleansing response is occurring. And so it's an integrative process. Invite the legs to get a little heavier, resting even more completely. And for your mind and your senses to also be still. And now, without moving the body yet, just bring awareness in. Notice the quality of your mind, the feeling tone of your body. And bringing attention into the deep low abdomen. visualize that in a moment you're going to bend each knee and you'll be returning from Shavasana. So just visualize that and sense what happens in the lower abdomen. And then as you go to pick up just the right knee, picture it like a marionette where there are strings attached to the joints, and this larger person, the puppeteer, helps the arm or the leg to move for the marionette. So this larger intelligence that you're just borrowing it to have a body. Sorry if you find that to be weird, but here you are in my class, so you've had some exposure to my perceptions. So this system of intelligence picks up the right knee, place your foot down, and then do the same with the left. You imagine it, and then that system of intelligence picks up the left knee, touch your left foot down to the floor. And same thing, all these intricate actions are going to happen right now as you roll yourself to your side, which could seem like a most ordinary and simple thing to do, and it is. Once you roll to your side, rest there for a few moments, please. And then use both hands to return to sitting. Take a seat you can have for meditation for a few minutes. We're going to sit in meditation for a couple minutes together. You can rest your hands where you enjoy them to be for your meditation. Let yourself be comfortable. And invite the possibility of really getting also deeply still. That meditation does not need to be elusive to us. We have just elicited the state of meditation for the body and the mind. Imagine both this lighthouse that you are and the candle flame of the heart that I mentioned so many other times. That flame lit and sustained by the teachings, the tradition, our teachers, each other. As you sit in the lighthouse that is you, the candle flame of your heart, let yourself feel the companions in the practice with you right now. Please bring your hands to your heart. May this practice help us to remember everything and everyone. We are a part of all that is, all that has been, all that will be. Om Bhava Suvaha Tat Savitor Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayata. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Guru Pyo Namaha. Hari Om. And you may bow your head to your heart. Thank you very much, everyone. Namaste.